Right. Angel's got her lean.
It's definitely not lean, Tony.
Sipping on some scissors.
Agua fresca, watermelon. I don't do drugs.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Angel and Tony Show. So last week we talked about like nostalgia, old stuff, how much we liked it. So I figured this week we would talk about change, because change is a thing that's really hard for human beings to deal with and adapt to. And I noticed it lately in some people that I care about, and just going back home and seeing how some stuff is the same and some stuff is different and people don't like it. And I don't like it. How do you feel about change? Do you like it or do you hate it?
I don't think I feel strongly either way.
What do you...
I probably lean more on the I don't like it.
I did some reading about it, and I found out that people in general don't like it.
Yeah.
And one of the main reasons was that they feel like a sense of a loss of control or like autonomy, because they know how a certain system works or how their day-to-day goes, and then...
Yeah, I'm a liar. For sure I don't like change.
Because when you change something up, like, then they kind of don't have control over it anymore, because they don't know.
I mean, all you have to do is like look. I mean, I've been in the valley my whole LA.
Yeah, but was choosing to stay here because of convenience or because you didn't want to like learn a new area?
Definitely for convenience. Yeah, definitely.
Because you know.
Yeah, it's like, you know, like in Cheers, we're like, where everybody knows your name. Like, I feel like I got that here.
Yeah.
It's like I can go to certain places and be like, what's up? Hey, how are you? Good morning.
Do you remember me?
Yeah, I like that.
So do you find like a certain sense of safety and routine and like not change? Because I also think another part that people don't like about change is like the fear of the unknown. But I think at the same time, it's something that you embrace. I embrace.
Like, yeah, I definitely embrace that too. I don't know. That's why I said I think I'm in the middle. I think I'm learning things as I'm thinking about it right now.
Like what?
I was going to say, yeah, as far as like my personal life, I was like, no, because I like changing that too, you know? I think I take more risk when it comes to my business life than my personal life. I think my personal life, I like to have like a home, and I like to keep that consistent. I like to have some sort of stability in my life.
There was this like phrase that I saw that said, it's not the fear of change, it's the fear of loss. It's not so much that you're afraid of like things being different. It's just like afraid of losing what you know. And then I also feel like it's a fear of being like obsolete, like as time changes. So the story that made me think about this was when I was back home, I was going to all these car shows with my dad. Mm-hmm. They're all old cars, like 60s, 70s, some 50s cars, whatever. My dad goes to car shows all the time. Like in the summer, he literally will go to one every day. Mm-hmm. And never gets old. And he knows a lot of these guys at these car shows because it's in the suburbs. Like you see the same people, whatever. Mm-hmm. One day we were at one and we were talking to these two guys. And one of them was probably the same age as my dad. The other one was like probably in the middle between my dad and me. They were talking about like growing up, and the younger dude came up in the 80s, like the late 80s. And they were saying how back in their day, if you had a cool car, like girls loved you and stuff, and they were into it and they wanted to get in the car. Mm-hmm. And
I remember the story.
All you needed was like a cool car.
Yeah.
And so and then they were all like butthurt kind of, because they're like, no, nobody cares. Like my kids just get in an Uber and like that's it, and it's not a thing anymore. And they're just like, they were talking about other things about the neighborhood, how it was changing, and how the way people move is different, the way businesses look, and all that kind of stuff, and everything being corporatized and all this. And I was thinking about it from like my age standpoint, and then like people younger. When we were in high school, it was cool to have a car because it meant you were mobile. Mm-hmm. But there was no Uber at the time.
Right.
And now you're like, kids now are in high school and they don't need a car. Like they can just call up a ride and that's it. You don't have to be like, Mom,
like we used to
drive me.
Yeah, like I remember being dropped off like in minivans to like the movies when we couldn't drive at first. But yeah, now people are just like, you order the Uber now.
That to me is a change in the positive, at least for the kid standpoint, because they can, for both, I think, because the kid can do and go as they please or whenever they need it. And as a parent, like, I don't have to worry about, like, driving you around. Like, and I'm not a slave to driving you around and stuff.
Yeah.
It was just an interesting point to me to see, like, the generational gap. And then with the way technology is, too, like, I think it's increased, like, rapidly. Because even if you talk about something from 5-10 years ago, it seems like a relic now compared to, like, even driving here, I was like talking in my car, telling it what music to play. And I'm like, when I first moved to LA, which was in 2014, if you would have told me I would be able to tell my car what music to play, I'd be like, yeah, okay.
I was listening to tape still when I moved here. Because I had a tape player. Yeah. And I went and I got a bunch of, like, old school, like I had Mace as a tape. I had Salt and Pepper. I had, like, a few other things. But, yeah, I mean, and that was in 2009, you know? Such a difference a decade can make. But I guess a decade's a long time.
Yeah. Back in the day, people could do a certain trade or something like that for 30, 40 years and be fine. But I think now you're seeing stuff change so fast that people can become obsolete if they don't adapt to it or they don't, like, move with whatever the change is. Like, when we're out somewhere shooting an event or something and then you see, like, these older guys with these big-ass TV cameras, like, running a cord to a wall or something like that, and you're like, what are you doing? Like, why do you still have that?
I feel like when you get older, you accept change more. At least that's been my experience. The generation above us might disagree with that statement because I feel like sometimes I'm just basing this off of my parents. Like, they've had a little bit of a harder time adjusting to certain things. But for me personally, I feel like I was resistant to change before. But I think as you get older, the fucking saying where they're like, change is inevitable. Like, the one consistent thing in life is change. Yeah. Like, you're like, yeah, whatever. But, like, that's just, like, real. Like, it's so true. And that goes across the board of everything in your life. Everything. Relationships, you're like what you do on a day-to-day, your favorite food, like what you're doing for work, like everything in my life has always changed. It's like consistently changed. And I think before it put a fear in me of like loneliness, where it's like, oh, I'm just moving through this and this person's gonna be here and they're gonna be gone and then whatever, and then this person's gonna be here and then I'm gonna be gone and then da da da. And it would make me worried. I felt myself never being in the present because I was always reminiscing about the past
or trying to prepare for the future.
Preparing for the future. Yeah. And I stopped that. Like, I definitely stopped that. I think like more so in my late 20s to now, where I'm like, no, I have to like enjoy like right now. Like, this is all I know. This is what I have. Yeah. I know that things are going to be changing, and I just need to be able to adapt to that change.
Have you ever been in a situation where, like, it was bad, but you would rather stay in it than, like, change the situation into, like, something you don't know? The phrase that they said was, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. So it's where, like, people will stay in a situation that sucks rather than leave that situation because at least they know they're familiar with that one. At least they're familiar with this situation.
Yes, I was in a relationship like that, and I think it should have ended a while before it did. But I think it was so much of that. It was the fear of being lonely, the fear of just being alone in general, not having to deal with, okay, who's going to take care of this and who's going to take care of that and who's, you know. So I think, yeah, that's definitely a situation that I stayed in because it was comfortable. Yeah. It was more comfortable to be in something that was comfortable. Yeah. But that I know than it was to go on the other side of things. Yeah. So I'm glad that it happened the way that it did. Because I think that you can think that you can like move things however you want or try to control whatever it is. Yeah. And then just God laughs at you. It's like, haha, yeah, you tried it.
When I was younger, I used to be like that with jobs a lot of the time.
Oh, yeah.
Like where I would be like, man, this job sucks ass. And I would go in there every day like, fuck this place.
Yeah,
Every
relatable.
day I'd be like, why do I keep going here, dog? And then I would literally stay there until I got fired. And then when I would get fired, it was terrifying. But it was also like the most liberating thing ever, because it was like I needed this to happen, but I was way too scared to do it on my own. So I would rather like keep going to this place that I hated every day than like try to find a new job when I knew I had like this paycheck coming, even though like I fucking hated that place.
No, and it's crazy because I mean that's relatable to like you literally keep going until you get fired or like dumped in my case.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I'm so happy that she did it.
Yeah.
For the both of us.
Yeah.
Because like we weren't, you know what I'm saying? Like it just was not good on both sides. Like we both just were not good for each other. Mm-hmm. And I definitely did not have the courage to let it go. I'm thankful I got fired.
I got fired. For sure. Another thing that I read was that people are afraid of moving forward to something new, like changing to a new thing, because it implies that the old way was wrong. So it's like...
It's not relatable to me.
Well, the way that they were talking about it was in the sense of like a workplace situation. So like if you have a person who's been there for like 10, 20 years or something like that, and they've been doing stuff a certain way, but say like the programs or the technology has moved forward and that person's still using Photoshop 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, this is how I've always done it. And you're like, yeah, bro, but you could do this 10 times faster if you use Creative Cloud. Mm-hmm. It's not really so much. And then that person has like this resentment because they feel like you're telling me I'm doing it wrong because now you're changing the way it's done. I mean, so it sets up this like new versus old like war that's unnecessary.
But I think adaptability is like essential to survival in anything. And that's why I love like having young people around me, or just just staying in touch, like talking to my like younger family members and stuff, to just see what's happening. Yeah. Because like to me, like that's important, like to know what's going on, what's the new tech and stuff. And I think the people that are stuck in this is how it's always been done, like they're not going to get anywhere in life. I think you need to be able to like move and grow and not have this like veteran attitude about certain things. Otherwise you're just going to get cut. Like, and then you become irrelevant. You
have to always be learning, because
absolutely
you could be doing something for a long time, and then it gives you kind of this like arrogance, I think, because you're like, oh, I've been doing this for 10 years, like I'm an OG at this, and then somebody comes by and kills you and you're like, how did they kill me? And it's because like you're not learning anything new. Like you've been doing this same thing or doing it a certain way for so long. But anybody that I look at, especially in the like music world, even you take producers that might have been famous for a certain sound at a certain time, and then you look at what they're doing now and it doesn't sound anything like that, and you want to be mad at them because you're like, why aren't you making what you're making in the 90s? And it's like, dude, it's not the 90s. That's why. Yes. If I want to keep a job, like I have to evolve. And they start, they'll use different things. Like I remember one time we interviewed this DJ. He was an older DJ, like an old school like dude that had been around for a long time. We asked him what he thought was dope. Like, what is hot to you right now? What are you playing? Mm-hmm. And he was like, I like whatever the people in front of me like. That's what's hot to me. And at the time we were like, you're a sellout, But it's like, no, dude, his job is to make the party dope. Yeah, so it's like if he's 50 and the kids at the party are 20, why would he play up a whole bunch of stuff that he wants to hear? Like, there's no point in that.
Yeah, you have to adapt.
Yeah.
100%.
So I think one of the major things that they said in this article about how to deal with change was being flexible and being able to move and grow with the times, prepare for the future, but same thing, like live in the present.
I think people that are like against change are the people that I've met. They're probably the most stubborn / like scared people I know. They usually have never like left their towns. They usually don't like to travel, and they're just kind of like coasting. And like to me, like whatever, do you? There's nothing wrong with that. But for me, I feel like if you want to evolve and get the best out of life, there's no way that you can do that without change.
So, because the other thing that I noticed too is like life in general is like difficult, right? So the older you get, like stuff is hard. And so it's easy to find like comfort in a certain like lane. And even with us, it's like we've been doing certain things for a while. And then like you work in a certain industry and you could get comfortable and be like, okay, I make money doing this. This is cool. I'm good. But then it's like a lot of people will be fine with that because they're making money, they're paying their bills. But like I'll get bored. You get bored. So then it's like, what if we tried this other thing? And it's scary because you don't know what could happen. But I think that is the thing. People that coast is like, one, I think they coast because they're afraid of the consequences of whatever decision they might make. They're too busy thinking of like, what if something bad happens? But it's also like, what if something good happens?
Yeah.
So like, you never would know if you didn't try it. The second thing I think is that people don't really realize how fast time goes by. Mm-hmm. Because you can be like, man, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this thing.
Like one day, yeah, one day I'm going to do that. That's a popular saying.
Yeah, and then it's like 15 years later, and now you're probably too old to be trying to do it. Or like you're not in the same shape that you used to be in. Or like now you have some health issue or you have a baby or like whatever the thing is. And you never did that thing. And it was because you were, like you said, coasting, and they're not, and people just don't be aware of like time is gonna move with or without you, like, and you don't have forever.
Sure don't.
And it's like indecisiveness too. I think that's another like major thing which I suffer from. Like I can't even choose what I want to eat, but that's why I'm like afraid of the future consequences. I'm like, what if I order this thing and then I hate it? And then I gotta, like, I waited all this time to get the thing. I spent money on this thing, and then I ate it. This is garbage. And so I, like, stare at a menu all day. Or I just won't eat, which is, like, a kind of a direct result of that thing. It's like, I look up and I'm like, why am I starving? Because I overthought eating all day. And then it's been 10 hours, and I haven't eaten anything.
Like, being comfortable in, like, a career and stuff, or what we're doing, that has been, I'm consistently always changing up. And like thinking of other things and thinking of new avenues and new lanes and kind of what I'm trying to do and stuff. So I think honestly, like that part of me is what constantly keeps me evolving.
It's like trying to adapt to a new different lane or apply it.
The vision and the passion has always remained kind of the same, but it's kind of where I'm going with it and stuff constantly evolves depending on who we meet, who we talk to, stories we want to tell, visuals we want to apply, art we might dabble into, somebody we might want to collaborate with. Like everything's changing. I think that's like the beauty of art too. Is like art you can just mold into whatever you're trying to do. But I feel like if I didn't have that creative part of me, I don't think I would. I think being creative is what makes me adaptable to change. Yeah. I think if I didn't have that, I'd be like, just Groundhog Day.
Do you ever like sometimes be like, man, I wish I could just go do some mundane tasks for a while?
Yeah.
Because there's been times where I'm like, man, like I used to paint houses for a while. Like a summer I painted houses. And it was something really therapeutic about like just putting paint on a wall and like doing the same thing over and over again.
I guess because I just did recently talk to you about this where I was like, you know, with everything that's been happening, trying to like run a business is hard. Like it's not easy. And so, you know, of talking about how we have, you know, all of our peers and friends back home, it's like that they have a 9 to 5 and they have a house, family, kids, they're married and stuff. And I was telling you, I was like, sometimes I have these thoughts like, should I have done that? Yeah. Should I just like gotten a job? And I sat with it for a while. Like I feel like I was dreaming about it. It was on my mind so much, but it's just not me. It just wasn't me. I was like, nope, can't do it. I don't know. And I think it definitely goes back to like just knowing my purpose. And I think that's literally like what keeps me going.
I don't know, because when I was younger, like I had a job bagging groceries, and it was just like you would watch things come down, and you just had to put it in a bag in the most efficient way you could put it in the bag, in a way that wouldn't damage anything, you know? And so it became like
It's like real life Tetris.
Yeah, almost. It was like a game to me. And I remember I only did that for a month. And it got to a point where I literally would have dreams of just an infinite conveyor belt bringing down groceries and me just putting it in bags. Like, that was my dreams, was just like putting shit in bags. But it was also a job that, in retrospect now, when I think back on it, it took so little thought that it was kind of nice, because you have to spend all this time working to make money. And it was nice to have something that didn't like wear my brain out. It was just like, whatever, I'm just doing this thing and I could think and be like present somewhere else, because the thing I was doing took zero brain power. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the higher you climb up the ladder to get more money, like it takes more brain power. Because even in what we're doing, outside of just what we're making and stuff, there's the chess game of the business side of it all the time. So you're always
you know, I'm never really off.
Yeah.
Like, I literally texted him today and I was like, yeah, I'm doing this like Sunday self-care day thingy. Because so I guess my mundane task that I love doing is just, I guess, walking my dog. Because like I clear my head during that time, because it is exhausting when you're always on.
Yeah. I guess the reason why I wanted to do this episode at the end of the day was to tell people to not be afraid of change, to not be afraid of doing new things. And as soon as one door closes, another door opens. And that is a corny ass saying, but it is real. And for anybody out there who is about to embark on a new journey, whether you wanted to do it or not, I think the best advice that I read was to always look at it as something that will be in your benefit. Because just like it could be terrible and the worst thing ever, it could also be the best thing ever. You don't know. And that's what you're afraid of, is just the fact that you don't know. So just assume that it's going to be good. And then it probably will be.
Stop fearing the unknown. Because the unknown's magical too.
Bars.
Change is your friend. Just like this eyeliner, you know what I'm saying? It's
change.
Like, change.
Out here.
We out here.
With the strength.
You know what I'm saying? Out here with the strength.
All right. On that note, like, comment, and subscribe. Tell us what you think of change. Any new changes in your life that you're afraid of, put it in the comments. And don't forget that we're on Spotify and iTunes with the podcast. We'll see y'all next time.
# tell a friend.
Deuces.